I'm live on Saturday afternoon because I live on this planet with the rest of you. And my fate is your fate. Our destinies are tied together. I've been studying politics for 30 years. I've been on air for 22. I've been syndicated for 20. And I spend my life studying real documents, real legislation, real political movements. And I see how uninformed the public is when it comes to serious issues. It hurts my heart. Now, the globalists and a lot of parasitic elites, they're opportunistic. They look at a dumbed-down population, busy watching TV and football and enjoying all the great bounties of our society, and they see you asleep at the switch and they think, hey, those are people we can exploit. Everything I've ever done is to fight illegal wars and tyranny. That's why I stood up against the Clintons and Bush and Obama. But when you talk about President Trump, and you look at what he's done in 3 weeks in office, pulling us out of the unconstitutional global government TPP that both the left and right were against, moving to reestablish Glass-Steagall, moving to cut taxes on poor people, signing executive orders to start blocking the forced mandate of Obamacare and $5,000 a year fines on citizens the media told us didn't exist, defending our borders, that's what a sovereign country has, going after ISIS and Al-Qaeda that Obama and Hillary helped empower in the Middle East and Africa. Everything he's doing is so wholesome and so good. But I have an emergency warning to the president and the American people and to folks that are still buying into all the hype. I'm not mad at people that buy lottery tickets, that go out and hear that there's a Powerball for 100 million, so they go buy a bunch of them. But listen, if you don't have money to buy your kids food, don't spend that money on Powerball. Or if you're in debt, quit thinking you're going to get some big magic answer. And the reason I raise that is simple. The type of people that don't support Trump are a bunch of lottery ticket mentality folks who buy into the hype, buy into the mainstream. With Trump, you've got somebody really trying to cut taxes, really trying to jumpstart the economy, really trying to reassert sovereignty in this country, whether you love him or hate him. Globalism's taken over the whole world. Look at Brexit, how England has been under for 20 plus years EU control, and they never voted to enter it. This is fundamental. If I disagree with Trump on 90% of what he did, but he was still trying to get our sovereignty back, I'd support him. I agree with like 95% of what he does. It's incredible how informed and how on target he is. But here's the emergency alert. I covered it Monday, especially on the syndicated daytime show. It was in Bloomberg, Reuters, AP, CNBC, IMF, World Bank, foreign governments, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan announcing that the economy's going to die, we're going to have a depression, dump your stocks, don't believe in Trump, as the stock market kept going up. I've never seen in the financial publications the system trying to crash an economy publicly. I'm not defending communist China, but they execute you if you write stuff like that trying to plunge an economy. I always get accused of being a fearmonger when I say the stock market could implode, we could have problems. The point is we're all in a big bubble, but Trump's trying to have a bubble that doesn't help big mega banks, but actually helps the average person. He's trying to keep interest rates very low for the people. He's announced that they're going to try to ban these payday loans and stuff, and high interest loans, and saying, look, you got unlimited free money out of the Federal Reserve, give it to the people. Good God, this isn't some lottery ticket you go buy. He's giving it to you. Because, hey, they've had all this fiat money for decades that the big mega rich have kept. They're buying like 500-foot yachts. It's crazy. And then they're openly saying you can't have a car or air conditioning. It's all a bunch of crap. They want you poor to control you. But here's the big emergency news, because we are in an emergency situation. The globalists have been ruling us by emergency edicts in Congress. You can look it up. And Trump is trying to bring back in our sovereignty. And he's put in Sessions, who's a great man, Bannon, who's a great man, some of the generals like Flynn, and the head of the Defense Department are good pro-America people. Mad Dog Mattis, you name it. He's got 100 nicknames. They picked one to make him sound crazy. The guy's actually a scholar. Somebody that reads books on history every day and science, and you got to read his stuff. He knows what he's doing. And that's great. But here's the problem. I sat there this week, and I know how the federal departments work. I know about the three branches of government. I mean, I understand the intricacies of this. The State Department is bigger than the CIA. It runs the CIA. The State Department is the shadow government, okay? And he put Rex Tillerson in there, who overall was anti-globalist years ago, but kind of sold out to him partially to keep his job at ExxonMobil. But Trump trusts him to get rid of the carbon taxes, and Trump's moving to do that. But here's what's happening. Trump's doing everything he said he'd do, running over the top of people like Paul Ryan and others who fight him every step of the way and undermine him with leaks. So I'm going to tell you where the leaks are coming from. They're coming from Priebus. I know that from insiders. And they're coming from Paul Ryan, who gets access to everything Trump's doing because he's like almost the co-president. He has more power, obviously, than Pence does. Speaker of the House is powerful. Probably the third most powerful person in the U.S. government, maybe the second. And so Trump is completely surrounded. George Soros, go look it up, financed Paul Ryan, all the top Republicans. Lindsey Graham, John McCain, Mitch McConnell. It's horrible. And Trump is just surrounded by all these enemies. But here's the big news. I'll give you a little bit of history. The big news is that the State Department had 1,000 people resign 2 weeks ago. Great, get the hell out. But hundreds of others have signed letters attacking Trump, only implementing a law that's been on the books since the 1970s. And before that, it's even in the Constitution. The president can block whoever he wants that isn't a citizen. You get rights here because you pay taxes and you're born here or you came here legally. That's what it is. Globalism attacks that fundamental. But the State Department is in open rebellion against Trump and is saying, yes, we think Trump's with the Russians, and we think Le Pen's with the Russians, and any other nationalist movement in Europe's with the Russians, and we're going to fight to keep Le Pen from getting elected. Our government getting involved to stop a nationalist patriot that wants to stop the Islamic invasion. And I'm reading their arrogant statements in the face of the president. So the American people have had their rebellion against the globalists and our hijacked federal government. But the federal government's sitting there going, we don't care what you do. We've got the big banks, we've got Bloomberg, we've got Goldman Sachs openly trying to kill the economy, openly trying to stop tax cuts for poor people. And the State Department is bad-mouthing the president, saying we'll do whatever we want when it is in the executive branch and he could fire every one of them tomorrow if he wanted to. But Trump understands they want him to fire all of them so they can say, look, he shut the government down. So he's caught trying with a federal government with millions of employees. Some are patriots, some are bad, some are just wanting a paycheck, trying to cut taxes, trying to stabilize things, and he's totally surrounded. And I know for a fact that he's aware that it's Reince Priebus that's leaking most of the stuff in meetings where there's 3-4 people in the room, and it's all being leaked. And it's one thing, Priebus believes, just like Glenn Beck bet on the establishment, he believes that Trump's going to go, or something's going to happen. And he's currying favor with the big banks, with the power structure, with those that finance the Republican Party, who've been against Trump. And I want to say something to all the so-called leftists and people out there that are beating people up at rallies and trying to shut down free speech. God, you're shameful. God, you're shameful. I marched with you against the war just like Trump did. He was against the war in 2003. And I've seen what you've turned into. You are monsters, just like the Republican establishment. And you are so embarrassing and uninformed and stupid and fascist. You call yourself anti-fascist. You even dress like fascist. You act like fascist. You are shameful. Everything Trump's doing is trying to empower the people. And he's got the entire Republican establishment against him. He's got Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, the mega banks, the Vatican, the communist Chinese, the Islamists, all against him. And you sit there and you claim you're anti-establishment when the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, the kitchen sink is against Trump because he's so damn real and really wants to be loved and wants prosperity and wants to preside over the rebirth of nationalism. I'm not against global systems, people working together. That's the next phase. But globalism in this current incarnation is an oppressive, anti-human system. Russia started pulling out of globalism 18 years ago, the first country to do it in modern time. So when they say it's a Russian plot, no, the Russians were the example first. But it's Italy just said no to EU expansion. They wanted to march an EU army in and say their government had no authority. The EU said to Italy a month ago, we want you to pass a law that you no longer have a military and we're over your country and can appoint your president. We want you to sign sovereignty over. And the Italian government people said, what? Hell no, even though their president was pushing it. This isn't like, hooray, Italy or America or England. We're ending our countries as we know it. Forget left and right. They appointed a president in Italy and in Greece, who was a deputy head of Goldman Sachs. And then I love the left. Oh yeah, he appointed 3 Goldman Sachs. Yeah, tens of thousands of employees, mergers and acquisition, key people like Bannon that were in it and went public against it 20 years ago. And Mnuchin's been anti-New World Order and one-sided deals against America. You just don't know. Goldman Sachs wants world government. Goldman Sachs wants to take your guns. Goldman Sachs wants open borders. Goldman Sachs is the sworn enemy of Donald Trump and gave 100% of their presidential money to Hillary Rodham Clinton. This isn't a debate. This is me like an adult talking to lobotomized children. And I don't mean that of our wonderful audience for every race, color, and creed of the human race. I mean people that think this is funny. And we may have 96% pro votes on YouTube and Facebook, but I still care about that 4% because I don't want to be your enemy. Never in history have we had the corrupt power structure warred against somebody. And see, Trump knows they're trying to break our will and our confidence. He knows he's surrounded. He knows he spent hundreds of millions of dollars to get into office. He knows that he's totally committed. He knows he's got to look strong and work with world leaders and got to get the economy defibrillated and jump-started because it's in cardiac arrest. And he's looking confident and trying to move forward. He needed Priebus and others because they threatened to shut the whole government down if he didn't kind of let them in. And we'll work with you, sir. And he knew. He knew when he met with Romney, all that crap. He was feeling them out, getting intel. So he knows what he's doing, but just understand what he's doing. He is sitting there like the ultimate fighter pilot with 50 missiles being launched at him, and every missile's missing him. And he's just delivering, dropping bombs on the globalist, unlocking our chains. It's so biblical, I can't believe it. I'd love to attack the president. I'd love to be the outsider. People say, oh, you know, you were always anti-establishment, now you're for it. Because we never have had a real president in modern times that really gets the score and is trying to restore the republic to where you have the power, not the globalist. There's never been a more epic time. This is so incredible. When he told you we're going to unlock the secrets of disease and cure it. Folks, they've got treatments that are 99% for cancer. Hell, they're invoking the cancer. It's been declassified. They're putting it in the vaccines. Trump wants to restrict the vaccines. He knows they're deadly. That's another thing he's moving to do. He is not out to get you. He's not perfect, but he's pro-human. He's not satanic. When I say satanic, I mean that metaphysically. And the globalists are all about, we're rich, we're powerful, we'll screw everybody over, including our own people, and the general public are a bunch of scum. They deserve to die. Quit eating my resources, roaches. Then they dumb you down so you act like roaches, and you run around scurrying, believing a bigger government is going to give you more goodies as Trump tries to turn on the engine of optimism and everything else. Here's the bottom line. Trump's under attack. They know InfoWars reaches conservatively. It was 30 million a week, then it was 40 million a week, then 80 million a week, 85 million a week, our biggest weeks. We hit that wave of the election of 85 million that just on our platforms. Terrestrial radio, YouTube, Facebook, actual videos and audio, people tuning in. Not just, reach, but actual listening. We have several billion a quarter now in, quote, Facebook reach alone. That just means people look at a page that has our links on it. I don't count that. Like hits or whatever from the 90s. And I tell you this to understand, the enemy has all these graphs. They've got heads-up displays better than ours. I'm inside the Google system. We've got passcodes. I got high-level stuff to all of it. Once you're in business with them, I admit I'm in business with them. That's how they already run the whole damn web. They're only hedging their bets, not killing me, seeing what comes in the future. Because they're all scared. The elites are all running to Kauai and Tasmania and New Zealand. They won't let their kids have iPads, nothing. They understand it's a dehumanization. They're all guilty about what they're involved in. And Trump's trying to change all that. And they know that we're reaching now after the Joe Rogan podcast, which is 90 million a month on iTunes alone. You count Google and YouTube and everything else, it's like 160, 170 million a month. Joe says it's the biggest thing he's ever done. And that stuff growing for 7-8 years. In days, it was already the biggest thing ever. And they're censoring it, blocking it, trying to restrict it, trying to not link it, everywhere. And Joe says, I've never seen this happen before. This is incredible. But the point is if you count just our platforms, we're up to 60 million a week now. If you count going on Joe, it's like 115 million we've had in the last 7 days. 115 million the last 7 days. What are they going to do, folks? I'm here on the weekends. They got the AC off. I'm sweating in the control room. I'm just here talking to you because I can't even, on my own birthday, be home with my kids because the fight's too epic. I got to go home in a minute. But what am I supposed to do? I care about you. I treat you like I want to be treated. This is real. There are real people. We can come together and defeat this, but you've got to stop being blind. They had, when I say hundreds, I mean, it was hundreds a day. 3 New York Times, 2 Washington Post, everything. Just Google Alex Jones, click news, saying Alex Jones is Donald Trump's brain. Donald Trump gets the BS that the media is covering up Islamic terror from Alex Jones. They're doing 2 things, trying to neutralize InfoWars and say, don't listen to us because they know we're the main threat. They don't have hundreds of articles a day if you're not a threat, okay? Point is, the public don't realize how big we are. I need you to know, not for my name, but so you understand the damn war going on. Trump's under total attack up here, completely surrounded, dominating, but still completely under attack. We're here, dominating, but under complete attack. It's Providence. And the public still doesn't get how epic this is. You have no idea how big it is. Hundreds of millions of people a week now, folks. So there's a huge awakening, but you need to know how powerful you are. And you need to lovingly reach out to these brainwashed people who've never been given real love or info and really try to talk to them. And I know it's hard to be nice to them because they've been trained to be so hateful, so they stay in their cult. You try to go up and talk to them on the street, the controllers always come over and say, don't talk to him, don't talk to them. But one reason I say that is they have hundreds of articles every day saying, I'm Trump's brain, because they know Trump has a weak spot, everybody does, of saying, this isn't your idea you got from Alex Jones. This is Americana I promote. Trump and I see the same world, the same system. Trump barely gets anything from me, and I'm not just saying that for his ego. It's the truth. The media is making it like that, so he breaks with an agenda, so that his Americana agenda is poisoned, and so we don't get this system moving forward and restore the republic and abolish the globalist. The good news is, no matter what they do to Trump, or no matter what they do to me, the human desire for liberty and the fact that a program is being set up to phase out humans, bring in robots, make us obsolete, and do all this, is actually reactivating the human life force potential and the human drive to survive and excel, and it's happening now, and it is a magic time, and I am so honored to be here with all of you. Again, I don't need to be patted on the head by Donald Trump to succeed. I don't need, to be brought in and put on a pedestal in D.C. That if Trump did that, that would actually hurt us, because a lot of the public would think we're part of the establishment, even though Trump's a beachhead against the establishment, somebody from the power structure, but never of it. You understand? So people keep thinking the media writes hundreds of articles. Oh, Alex wants to be in the press corps. Oh, Alex isn't real news. Oh, these are people with no views. They have to get hundreds of their publications in CNN and ABC and CBS every night attacking us with lies and edited tapes to try to bring us down. We already succeeded. We already won. It already happened. The enemy already gotten beat. But to use a Terminator 2 analogy, Skynet knows it's already defeated. In the future, they've got the algorithms. They know. So they're trying to come back now. And again, they're not literally in the future. Before the New York Times goes with this, it says, with their algorithms, they admit they can predict the future now with all these mass movements. They can see they're going to fail in the future. So now they're trying to convince you lost so that you don't realize the victory you already have going forward. Because no matter what happens to Trump, this is only going to continue. You understand? This is the human destiny. This is the Great Awakening. This is asking God and Providence back into our hearts. This is saying no to the culture of death, no to the New World Order. But Trump is completely surrounded, but he can't sit there and whine about it because he's got to look strong, which he is for everybody, and move forward and hope he can get you prosperity as quickly as possible. But I've never seen hundreds of publications a day saying the economy is going to implode, everything's going to be the end of the world because, of Trump, so they can blow the economies to blame him. They did the same thing starting 6-8 months ago in Brexit, 7 months ago. When was Brexit, 7 months ago, Buckley? Yeah. They did the same thing. They said, we're going to destroy your economy. They're so arrogant. They go, oh, you want your own country? You don't want to be under our control? We're going to destroy you and not let any of your bread be sold, or your sheep be sold, or your beef be sold, or your grain be sold, or your bottled water be sold to the EU. And England said, fine, go ahead and do that. We're going to accept all your stuff. All we're saying is Brussels isn't making all our decisions anymore. This is simple. Foreign mega banks set up the EU. It's unelected. Through trade deals like TPP previously, they got people roped into it. We were about to go under it, and America said no, and that's what's happening. But the globalists got to watch their ass now because they want the end of man to be here and their humet to be over. They want all about machines and digital and social engineering and control and manipulation. But the groups that I yelled at and said, what's your problem letting the New World Order do all this? What's your problem, FBI and CIA, going along with all this corruption? Why are you part of this? And they listened, actually, and were the key players in bringing down Hillary and the globalists and the pedophile rings in the last election. So again, New World Order, don't think that you're going to sit there and manipulate the warriors that make this country so strong and destroying themselves and their family. They now know about your plan to bring us all down, and they're now working overtime to defeat you and have a system that's pro-human. So you get ready for that, and know, if you want a war with humanity, I'm telling you, you can feel my spirit leaning up against yours, globalist. If you want a war, you better believe you got one, and my soul and my will and everything in my ancestors is against you. So you feel that New World Order and George Soros, and I want everybody to pray with me that God strike you down politically and lay you low and show you for the scum you are. The truth is, in God's plan, you're only here to ignite humanity and bring us to the next level. You are failures from the foundation of the earth. You are scum.